Welcome to Rad, a daily reader for Reddit. Like and subscribe for daily Reddit videos. Worst part of being a kid was not having adults take you seriously when you knew what you were talking about. Sometimes it gets worse. Sometimes your 65-plus aging parents refuse to listen to your basic reasoning and logic, especially on financial matters. It's just the best. I have a PhD in biology. My mom still believes her unemployed neighbor that watched a documentary knows more of my field than me. Edit. All the stories of people who can relate to making my day. That sounds infuriating. As one in a similar spot. Enraging might be an understatement. I feel like a climatologist. I swear. The title says, worst part about being a kid, but this crap happens your whole life lol. People just have superiority complexes, egos, and can never for a second think that anyone younger than them might know, understand something more than them. As someone who is now parenting her parents, the worst part of being someone's child is how they will never take what you say seriously. I swear my dad still thinks I'm 18 months old and sticky all the time. I feel every action I make or discussion I have is judged by my dad. He's not blunt or rude about it, but it's evident in his little comments and behaviors. Made doubly worse because my wife, kid, and I are currently living with him for a bit. It can be as pathetic as getting at me for using 2 knives in the kitchen, when I could have just rinsed one and reused it. Oh, the horror. I've only recently, at 35, begun to simply not give a flying F***K anymore. Surprisingly, it's working. He hasn't changed, but I feel like I'm lifting the weight of his judgment off my own shoulders just by not caring. Oh man, I would love to hear an example if you have one. I was on a field trip on a Pacific island. I was not working with snakes there myself, but I knew plenty about them and was friends with the biologists that did research on those snakes. My mom called me worried because her neighbor saw a documentary at night. My guess is half asleep, where they apparently said how dangerous the snakes on the island are. Extremely venomous even for humans. Well, they are not. But my mom said they would not say such a thing on TV if it was not true. Snake news. Edit. Wow, thanks for the awards. You deserve gold for this. I refuse to compensate Reddit, but I'll donate to a BIPOC charity with you in mind. Take my free award. Love seeing people donate to charity. Worst part of being an adult is not having your boss take you seriously when you know what you're talking about. Worst part of life is when people don't take you seriously because they don't know what you're talking about. Edited to add emphasis, and to say it also applies in cases like you, Elena McTurtleCow96 brings up. And you, Butthole Casserole too, who I'd bet came to that realization telling his kids something whilst knowing he had no clue what he was talking about. I was 12, so this was like 1984. Parents bought a new TV for their bedroom and it wouldn't turn on. Dad was frustrated. Mom was yelling at him to push this button or that button. I suggested they unplug it and plug it back in. All of their frustration and anger coalesced and got pointed directly at me. You're a kid. You don't know anything about televisions. You have no business sticking your nose into adult problems. Get out of the way and quit making everything harder. Just go to your room. So, I went to my room. A few minutes later, I heard the evening news come on. Mom walked by the door on the way to the kitchen. Not a word to me. The news went off. The news came back on. Went off again. Came back on again. Dad walked up to my doorway and just stood there. I ignored him. It's working now, he said. That's good. He stood there for another minute. Quietly. We unplugged it. Plugged it back in. Seems to have fixed whatever was wrong. Cool. And he left. No apologies from either of them. But whenever something electronic wasn't working the way they expected, they asked me to look at it. VCRs, cable boxes, TVs, phones, computers, laptops, digital cameras, smartphones, tablets. In hindsight, I should have kept my mouth shut. Edit. Thanks for the award, kind Redditor. The worst part of being an adult is realizing that your parents also had no idea what they were talking about. Freaking seriously. Like, okay, I have to eat all of my beets because reasons you can't explain. But I have to save your butt when you accidentally delete all the drivers for the D drive on the Packard Bell. The 90s were a hard time for me. This is the secret behind Harry Potter's success. The books spoke directly to this feeling that kids have and the belief that they can do it if given a chance. So true. Reminds me of a family trip when I was 7 to visit family in another state. This family member didn't like little kids. During trip one night the adults were playing Trivial Pursuit and I sat on my dad's lap, which family member wasn't happy about, saying that I was a distraction to the adults. My dad got a question which was to name the anthropologist who wrote Coming of Age in Samoa. My dad didn't know, so I said, "Dad, I know the answer." Let me say, to which family member said, "There's no way you know the answer, you're just a kid and it's rude to interrupt adults." My dad said, "Let her answer and I bet she'll prove you wrong." I said Margaret Mead, and after a solid minute of silence family member had to admit I was right. I still remember that moment many years later because I was so proud in that moment of the faith my father had in me and that he believed in me. I was blessed in having a dad and mom who always took me seriously and treated me with respect even as a child. Thanks for watching Rad. Like and subscribe for daily Reddit videos. If you like these videos, check out Rad too.